Hello there everybody, and what my mission is today is to show you that anybody, yes anybody, even you, can program a computer. So let's start off. I'm using a Linux system, but this will work exactly the same on Windows. And the first thing to do, we'll right click on the desktop, select new folder, because we want to put this somewhere, and we'll call it something. I'm going to call mine Learn. You can make it anything you like, and then we'll double click on that, and we'll right click in the middle of it, and this time it's new document. If you're in Windows, you can put new text document, and here we have this document open, which we can rename. I'm going to call it Learn again. Now the thing to do is to make sure that the file extension, the dot bit at the end, is HTML. Now if you're in Windows, it will have already created it as .text. So if you hit the delete key on your keyboard until that disappears, then just type in learn.html or anything else .html that you actually fancy, and we'll hit return there. And the next thing to do is to open that up. Now you need to use open with, and if you're in Windows, open it up with Notepad. I'm going to open it up with the Linux text editor, which is called Gedit, but anything will do, so long as it edits text files and doesn't save them with loads of strange formatting. Notepad is fine. So here we've got a file. Now the first thing we need to do is to create a very basic HTML file, and to do this we'll type in HTML between greater than and less than signs, and this just tells the web browser, because that's what we're going to be opening it in, that that is a valid HTML file. And these are called tags, and they're just instructions to the computer. You never actually see them in the browser. And the next thing we need to do is exactly the same, but with a slash in front of the HTML, and that's a closing tag, and nearly all tags have closing tags. And then we can type in head, which is the header. We can type in a title. You can put whatever you want in here. I'm just going to bung in my page. You don't actually have to have a title, but I just want to show you how to do this, because you never know, you might want to create your own simple HTML pages. And then we'll close off that header tag, because that's all we're going to have in there. Then we want a body, and this is where all the stuff goes that you see in your browser. Now the title goes in the bar at the top of your browser, and slash body, and then you can put some text in there. It doesn't really matter what it is, it's just so that you can reassure yourself that you do actually see it. And then we're going to save that. Now if you double click on this HTML file, it should open in your web browser, and you'll see at the top you've got your title, which says my page, and you've got the text you type in, which says some text. Riveting stuff, isn't it? But I promised to teach you how to program, so we'll go back to the file in our text editor, and we're going to do a JavaScript program. And JavaScript programs sit between two tags, not surprisingly called script. Whoops, not script, but script. So we'll put both tags in. It's a good idea to get into the habit, if you're doing this in the text editor, of putting the closing tag in whenever you put the opening tag in. Then you won't forget it. You can get special purpose editors. There's some very good ones around that are free that will actually do that for you. But as we're in a simple text editor, this is what we're going to do. Now by default this assumes a lot of things. Now to be fully standards compliant, as they call it, this page is not good enough, but for our purposes, to make it simple, it's absolutely fine. For example, we should define that the script language is in JavaScript, but we don't need to because all the browsers assume that anyway. Really that definition is there to help search engines, who you may be unsurprised to learn also look through your code for juicy bits of text. Now, what are we going to do? Well, first thing I'm going to teach you to do is to print something out to the screen. Also not very riveting, but it just confirms to you that the script works and it's doing something. And we're going to use document.write. Document. My spelling's atrocious today. Mind you, it doesn't help. I've got a bit of an eye infection today, so I can't see the screen very well. Then in quotes, type whatever you want it to write. And then end it with a semicolon. And JavaScript requires that you end every line that actually does something with a semicolon. Now I'm going to take out that text I put in earlier and I'm going to save it. And if we go back to our browser, if you hit the refresh, which is this little circular arrow here, you'll see it says exactly what you put in there, which means that your script is actually working. So you now know how to write anything from a script, and you can also write HTML from a script. So if I put some tags in here, I'm going to put an H1 tag, which is a heading. I'll change this to a capital T, don't have to, but it's going to look better. And then I'm going to close it. /H1, save, reload, and there you go, it comes out as a header. Whoopee! Just what you've always wanted to be able to do. Well, JavaScript can do lots of things. One of the things it can do is count. And to do this, I need to introduce you to some control structures. And control structures basically are just how the program is routed. It describes to the computer how you want it to do things and in what order. So we're going to do a simple for loop, and this is a loop structure. So it's for, then you need a bracket and I equals 0, then a semicolon, I is less than 11, I plus plus, close the bracket. Then we're going to have some curly braces. You'll love these, moustaches, and these have to also be opening and closing. So what is this doing? It is saying here's a variable, and a variable is just a box that you can put something in. Could be a number, could be some text, could be almost anything. And in this case it's definitely going to be a number because we've initialized it as a number. And we're saying we're going to do this for loop, which is what's in between these curly braces, every time we go around it until I, while I is less than 11. As soon as that statement there becomes untrue, then we stop doing it. So it will get up to 10, and then I will go up to 11, and it will stop doing it. And at the end here you can specify how you want I to be incremented or decremented, because you can take it down as well, and I'll show you that in a sec. So let's show what I actually is. Document, doing it again, dot write, and I'm going to introduce you to another new thing now. And what I'm going to introduce you to, it's the plus sign, plus, and another bit of HTML which is a break statement, which just puts a line feed in. It's like pressing the return key. Now JavaScript is clever enough to know that this is a number, so it shouldn't add it to BR, which doesn't make any sense. It's going to concatenate it, which means it sticks it on the end. So let's say I was 1, then what would actually come out of this would be 1, then BR. And the BR the browser interprets as a new line, so it goes down to a new line. It's as simple as that. So we'll save it, go back, reload our page, and there we go. We can count to 10. Whoopee! So this is a very basic computer program that we've written. There's no user input, no nothing. But before we get into any sort of user input, I have to actually show you another thing, which is conditional statements. And a conditional statement is if, and then the computer will do something if that condition is true. So I'm going to say if, then a bracket, I equals 5, then I'm going to do something. Okay, now the reason you have to say equals is that if you don't say equals, then I will simply get set to 5 every time it goes down the loop. The loop will never ever end, and eventually your browser will get fed up with it and complain. In the old days you would have crashed your computer, but nowadays browsers are much more cunning than they used to be. So we're going to do a document write again. A document write even. Well, that's new. Writing on the duck. And what we're going to do is we're going to write, hey, there are 5 of them, exclamation mark. Then I'm going to put a line break in, otherwise it'll all get confusing. And of course we need a semicolon. If you forget your semicolon, your program will simply not run. I'll show you that in a minute. So, saved it. There you go, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey, there are 5 of them. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's an if statement. I'm going to show you a couple of other things to do with for loops and if statements very briefly. So we can make it go the other way. We can start at 10 and go downwards. So when I is, this time when I is greater than -1, because we still want the naught in there, and instead of saying I++, we say I minus minus. We'll save that, reload it, and there you go. And you'll notice that because it's still got a 5 in there, it still says, hey, there are 5 of them. So that's a little bit about for statements. And of course you can do something else. And what you can do is you can say I equals I minus 2. this lets you put a step in, and this time our 5 if will never fire, because it's never going to be 2, because the loop is going to go 10, 8, 6, 4, 2. So let's try that one. There you go. 5 doesn't fire because what was in the loop was never ever 5. So that's all well and dandy. Now, other things you can do with if. You can say if it's less than something. So if you can say if I is less than, oh, let me see, less than 4. So if it's less than 4, the document is going to get, hey, it's less than 4 written to it. There you go. 2, definitely less than 4. 0, it's definitely less than 4. And of course you can do the same with greater, and there's some other things you can put in there. You can put in, obviously you can put in greater, you can put in greater than or equal to, and you can put in less than or equal to, depending on how you want it to go. So that's a little bit of counting. And we've already seen string concatenation, which is adding things together. We'll introduce you to variables next. Now, we've already automatically created a variable here, I, but normally you'd make variables a bit of a longer name, and you need to get into the habit of typing var in first before you declare one, which is what it calls when you tell the program it's there. And it's not strictly necessary, but if you ever get into writing longer programs, you will wish that you did. And we're going to have a variable called text. We're going to make it equal to my name is. I'm going to put a space on the end so that the space gets printed out. And then I'm going to show you how to add strings together. Text equals text plus and really we need to put a break on there to make it readable, so it goes down to 1 line. And I'm going to copy my document right from up here because I'm a lazy typer. You don't need the quotes around it this time because it's a variable. Document right text with no quotes. Going to save it, reload, and there you go. My name is Prince. Woof woof. So there we go. Now, how to do the next bit, which is get some user input. Well, there's lots of different ways of doing this. We're just going to simply have a text box that you can put something in. So let's do what we did before, and now we have to come out of the script part because we're actually going to put something. Actually, that script shouldn't be there. It shouldn't actually work down there. God knows why it is, but there you go. That's Firefox for you. It's fairly intelligent. Be a good idea to put it instead in the body. There you go, anyone can program, even idiots like me. So let's tidy that up a little bit. It's a good idea to put scripts at the end of your body when you do these things. So what are we going to do now? What we're going to do is I'm going to put in a text box. So I'm just going to do exactly the same example, but this time getting the name from a text box. So name colon, and then I'm going to put in a text box. Now the text box accepts a lot of parameters. We're only going to use one, which is ID, and this is what the computer knows that you want to call it. So what are we going to call it? My name, be a good one. I'm going to close that. Oops, I'm going to have to pause. Right, that's got rid of my little caller at the door. Now, where did I get to? Oh yeah, but we can't just say it's a text box, because we have to tell the computer what it is. And what it really is an input. It's an input field. And the type of it is a text box. Like that. And we'd best put a line break behind there as well. So if we save that, we'll reload our page. You see now at the top of it, because that's where this goes, it goes before the script, and here's the script, name, and then an input field. But we're not at the moment obviously doing anything with that input field. Let's fix that. So in our script, what we need to do is to get the value from that text box. Well, how on earth do we do that? Well, the first thing is we can't just pull the name out of the text box before someone's put anything into it. So really we need to add a button as well. So let's add a button. Button. And that's all you need. Not really quite, but we'll do it first. Whoops. Going to put the text enter name on the button. We're going to close it off, which is button. And we want this button to do something. Put our line break on the end as usual. And what we want it to do is to go and get some JavaScript code and execute that. So we're going to say on click, all one word, equals, open up your quotes, and we're going to write a little bit of Java code in here. I'm just going to call it get name. Then, because this is the name of a function, which I'll go into in a minute, we need brackets, semicolon, you always need it at the end of any line of Java code. And what it's going to do is it's going to call some little routine called get name. As soon as you press that button, it's going to take the text from there. So let's write this little routine get name. So function get name, and then we need to open up some curly braces again. Don't forget to close it. And in here, what we're going to do is we're going to have a variable, and it's going to be set to that text box. So var input, or whatever else you want to call it, equals document and here's a long word, get element with a capital E, by with a capital B, ID with a capital I. Then in quotes in there we're going to put in whatever we've got as an ID up here, which in my case is my name. Then dot, pretty sure it's val, then close the semicolons. You can see you can actually look up on name, where is it? Yeah, you can actually look up online very easily what you need to do. Nice value. So there we go. And I haven't coded in JavaScript for a while, so I just had to look that one up. So there it is. And we want to do something with the input. Well, what we're going to do with the input is exactly what we've already done. My name is. Nah, let's do hello instead. What the heck. So we're going to write it. We're going to write it. And we can do things inside document write. One of the good things about JavaScript. So document write. Anything that goes inside these brackets, you can actually put JavaScript statements inside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add two strings together. It's going to be hello, then a space, then we're going to add in our input, then we're going to go plus again, open up, another space, and how are you? And I'll put a line break in again. And hopefully this will work. Let's find out. So I'm going to save it. And we'll reload the current page. And I'm going to put in Arduinotronic. Enter name, hello Arduinotronic, how are you? Has been printed out. So there you go. That's not bad, is it? And let's just maximize this. Whoops. Let me see, let me make that a bit bigger for you. Maybe not that big. So there we go. So now you can easily see the full program. And there's that function. And of course it word wraps it. Don't put things on more than one line just at the moment. There are ways you can do it. But for the moment, don't do it. So this is how easy that basic computer programming is, and you can do quite a lot with it. It's surprising. If you look online, you can learn about HTML, you can learn about all sorts of other things, and just go out and make some code. You could even do a game on JavaScript. How's that? I hope you found this interesting, and if you have, please like, share and subscribe. Thank you very much.
Arduinotronic, harmonic, ionic, bionic, atomic. It will astonish you, it's magical and casual, actual but classical, practical and factual. Arduinotronic, Arduinotronic, harmonic, ionic, bionic, atomic. It will astonish you, it's magical and casual, actual but classical.